electronic and manual with the procedure on the back. Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it.
And Mr. Speaker, we all agree that these necessary changes be effected.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it.
Subsidy, as it were, has been a subject of debate over the years. It became prominent in 1977 following the promulgation of Price Control Act, which made it illegal for some products, including petrol, to be sold at deregulated prices. Recall this law was introduced by the former President Olusegun Obasanjo military regime to cushion the harsh effects of the great inflation of 1970s that took its turn on nations globally as a result of the worldwide increase in energy prices. However, as it is now, Nigeria is spending huge sums of money subsidizing petroleum products, a development economic experts say is not sustainable. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, upon assumption of office, announced subsidy removal that is now eliciting reactions from the general public. Based on this development, the organized labor has threatened to embark on industrial action. The Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPC, refuses to resign its decision. Should government continue to pay subsidy on petroleum products, or what is the way forward? These are the questions we may address today. We'll address today on the program. I am your carrier, Clinton, and this is Nigeria Today. Welcome. Joining me in the studio in the program is Mr. David Akoji, Director of Special Duties and State Operations, National Orientation Agency. Welcome to Nigeria Today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
It's always a pleasure having you around. And also with us is Comrade Anthony Chukwudi Asogwa, General Secretary, National Union Road Transport Workers, NURTW, National Headquarters, Abuja. Glad to have you join us on the program.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
So I will start with you, Mr. David. Different administrations have tried to remove the fuel subsidy, and it has been unsuccessful. They tried, it was met by stiff opposition from the public. Now, why is it so difficult to address the fuel subsidy and the fuel subsidy removal, and why is it so difficult to, address this issue once and for all?
Subsidy removal of any kind comes with pains, on citizens who are affected by such removals. In the case of PMS, petroleum motor spirit, subsidy removal has implications immediately for cost of living. Transport fares increase, cost of food, pharmaceuticals, products and services all go up, and this has painful implications for citizens. It takes a lot of courage for a leader to make that decision, because for the period that the pain that is caused by the decision of removing subsidy lasts, such leader will not be popular. In a democratic setting, politicians thrive on popularity, on the ability to endear themselves to the citizens. But our situation in this country today demands a leader that is courageous. As you rightly observed in the opening remarks, there have been several attempts at removing subsidy, which did not quite succeed in absolute removal. We have seen situations where subsidy was rather reduced, you know, than completely removed. And some of the countries that Nigeria went into the subsidy regime with had long since exited, you know, anticipating the fact that if they continued, they will be in the position that we find ourselves today, where subsidy payment seems to be taking close to 92% of our national revenue, leaving government with little or nothing, except in the case of going out to borrow, you know, to invest in other critical infrastructure that enhance national development, you know. So this is why people, leaders are often very scared of removing subsidy. It has serious backlash when you do so. The unions go into overdrive. You know, the citizens begin to groan in pain and they join protests, you know, which is part of the threats that we're seeing, you know, in the polity at the moment.
Thank you, David. Comrade, I know you are a member of the union. Of course, the people that will tell you that he's affecting them seriously, and they are unfortunately are taking it out on other people. I would taking it out on the public. So, do you think, or how and where do you think the nation got it wrong?
Well, actually, like he pointed out, the subsidy takes a huge chunk of the union of the nation's revenue, leaving government with little or nothing, then back on other infrastructural development.
So, in other words, you support the removal?
Sure, I do. The union do.
Okay.
Our only issue or problem, so to say, is that like this one, there's no palliative on ground to cushion the effect. Yes, and I know the president or President Tinubu means well for the nation. However, we look forward that palliative should be put in place, because the fact remains that people are suffering. And whenever I remove subsidy, like he earlier pointed out, it will surely affect the people. To have a ripple effect on the people. Because, for instance, currently, my own car, for instance, with 10 or 12,000 naira, I filled the tank before. Now it takes about 4,000 and thereabout. So, for those who are using their commercial vehicles, for instance, you don't expect somebody who fills his tank with 12,000 naira previously, and now he has to fill it with about something thousand naira to still collect the same fare. So definitely there will be sharp increase both in transport fares and other items. But I believe it will be for a moment. If government is serious about it, and like I said earlier on, if government is able to provide palliatives, like for us, the transporters, if government to bring in vehicles and give it to the union, it will go a long way to reducing the issue, the harsh economic problem we are going to face. Again, the government should also liberalize the importation of fuel products instead of NNPC monopolizing the...
We'll get to that point
right,
when you now prefer solutions.
All right.
So we'll get to that point. Now, Mr. David, excuse me. Some experts have said that although the removal of subsidies is a welcome development, however, they are of the view that the people were not given enough information, and they were not like, what will I say, they didn't give them enough time to prepare for the effect. So what's your take on this?
My take on that is there's never a good time to remove subsidy. There will always be complaints, and we have seen complaints happen every time subsidy became an issue, you know, within the polity. And we have kept on procrastinating, and we have paid a huge price for that procrastination. The huge price we have paid is the over 7 trillion that we seem to be paying annually as subsidy. Imagine the impact that that quantum of resources would do in health, in education, in power, if such revenues were applied to these other components. And then you have the challenge also of the fact that the subsidy is being wrongly applied. A lot of this PMS, which is supposedly subsidized, end up in neighboring countries. The president spoke recently and he said, look, I cannot be subsidizing Cameroon, and other neighboring countries. He spoke this loud and clear.
No, we have to take care of our issues before going out.
Absolutely, and I'm hoping that Nigerians are listening to that. This subsidized PMS that we market in country here, a huge portion of it ends up in the neighboring countries. If you go to countries like Cameroon, Niger, their filling stations have closed because the rates are better in the black market, which the reverse is the case here. The rates are worse in the black market than they are in the filling station. But because of Nigeria's subsidized fuel that ends up in these countries, the black market rates are more attractive than the rates that you find at the filling station. And it's because Nigeria is subsidizing the fuel that goes to this country, which is not a welcome development, And then there's a huge cloud of corruption surrounding the entire subsidy regime issue. Now, this removal will solve these two problems. It means that the money that subsidy makes available for corruption will no longer be there. And those who are involved in this will have to find other vocations, to make to make their money. And it also means that the filling stations in Cameroon, Niger, and other countries will now come alive and become profitable for the benefit of their country. And the black market, which is usually populated with Nigeria subsidized fuel, will simply disappear. And then the economy of both countries will begin to function for the benefit of the citizens.
In other words, there will be a multiplier effect. So
that's the point. Yes. That's the point.
So, Comrade, I understand you earlier said that because of the fuel subsidy removal, then of course the hike in price of the products, that prices of fares, transport fares definitely will not remain the same. But we have seen a situation where some commercial drivers are taking advantage of this, and arbitrarily they will just be increasing the price of transportation. So what is your union doing to address some of these issues?
Well, the fact is that transporters are the most patriotic citizens of this nation.
Really?
That is a fact. It's a fact. Yes, because if you have to increase fares based on the current price, nobody will afford to enter commercial vehicles. Yes. So definitely we will ensure that the increase, because even apart from the transport sector, go to the market, they have started increasing everything. Double. Or in some cases, triple.
It started from the transporters?
No, it didn't start from transporters.
Because when somebody goes to buy something, the transporter will increase it. It's too weak.
That's not a fact. Before now, we all know that the cost of the dollar or naira to the $1 is about 700 and something. Has that got to do with transport? Definitely not. So, like I said earlier on, the union will ensure that there won't be much increase, so that the people. But like I said earlier on, I believe this sufferings will be for a while, because I know the president means well for this nation. He gave us hope, and we believe him. He will surely do that.
All right, let's take a short break here, and the discussion will continue after the break. Do stay.
Actually, for me, it's a good thing to remove the subsidy because a lot of people making money out of it. But the only thing problem was that there was no provision in place before removing the subsidy. At least there would have been at least one or two refineries would have been in place.
As far as I'm concerned, it's long overdue. This is supposed to have been done several years back. And now that it has come, the only problem that it came so suddenly, Nigerians were not prepared. And so it affects everybody. I bought fuel, and when I look at my gauge, it's something that will fill my tank. It's not even half tank. And it has increased everything. Bread 800 is now 1,000. So every other thing. So I think the government did the right thing, but the timing wasn't perfect. That's my own problem, but the right thing was done. So in favor of the citizen, when the subsidy has been removed, the government should see to it that the citizens also feel the impact of the removal of this subsidy in terms of infrastructure, houses, food, salaries, and other things.
It's something that has affected everybody.
As far as I'm concerned, subsidy removal is a welcome idea, though we all are feeling the brunt. If you recall, all the candidates for presidential candidates, none kick against removal of subsidy for reasons best known to Nigerians and to them, except those who are hiding away from the facts.
All right, welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today, and my guests are still here with me. But then you had the reactions.
Yes,
Mr. David, I want you to react to some of the issues raised there. Some said, in fact, all of them were in agreement. Guys,
Yes.
it has been, in fact, it's a welcome development. However, some issues were raised. So.
Yes, that's a sufficient display of awareness of what the issues are by the public, going by the sample that I see from this Vox Pop, that NTA did. And it's reflective of the thinking of the majority of Nigerians. If you go out there, the discussion is not around the propriety or otherwise of the removal of subsidy. The discussion is around the challenge of the timing. And I have just said to you that there's never a good time for pain. Whenever pain comes, it is painful. And people will continue to say it's not a good time. This is not the first time we're having issues around subsidy removal, but this has come because the nation is at a crossroads. You cannot, as a leader, have a situation where 92% of your revenues are going into servicing, just one line item, that's subsidy. That is certainly not a desirable position for any country. Now, as a visionary leader, if you come into such a situation, it should be one of the very first things you want to address so that you can recalibrate your revenue and expenditure processes and profile. And that's what this president is trying to achieve. He has put forward some things. I expect that more will come, to make the pain a little less intense on the citizens. And again, if you have a deregulated environment like we have now, don't forget that the Petroleum Industry Act is already law. Competition will set in. And once competition sets in, a monopoly is removed, there will be price differences. You're not going to find the kind of situation that we have at the moment. You're going to find people competing for the market. And we have seen this happen before when the telecom industry was deregulated. You recall that at some point we were buying a SIM card for as much as 100,000 naira for one SIM card.
I bought for 20,000.
Good. The same SIM card today is selling at how much? 300 naira?
Some are given free.
Free. So this is what the regulation does. It comes with initial intense pain. And if people focus too much on that pain, they will lose sight of the benefits, that come in the medium to long term. So I'm urging Nigerians to look at the benefits that will come, in the medium and long term with this decision, and that as you heard, it's overdue for us to, put this subsidy thing aside once and for all and move forward as a nation.
So, Comrade, earlier on you wanted to mention some of the, some things that should be, done to ease the pain. However, I wanted to react to some of the issues that was raised during the Vox Pop there.
Well, saying the same thing. It's just the timing. No, even though he said there's no time that pain is enjoyable, pain is pain at any time. Nevertheless, if there had been a palliative on ground before the removal, the pain would have been less.
Okay, like what and what do you think would have been in place?
Okay, for instance, with the transporters, for instance, I recall when the government of Jonathan did same, they increased the price of petroleum product. They provided buses for the union, which we were given on reduced prices and at interest-free loan, so to say. So something like that will go a long way in reducing because if you have enough vehicles, definitely the prices of fares will reduce and it will also go around. Secondly, if the government will as well increase salaries of workers, because currently some states are yet to pay the 30,000 naira minimum wage. As I'm speaking to you, some states are yet to pay. And you can understand that 30,000 naira is not even enough for the transportation alone, not to talk. So, and again, I said earlier on that the NNPC should not monopolize importation of petroleum products, particularly PMS. Secondly, we have about 3 refineries in Nigeria. If we are refining these products here, the prices, there won't even be need to talk of subsidy in the first place. So, and the amount required to fix these refineries, I'm sure an annual subsidy is enough to repair these 3 refineries. So, but I believe this government, having done it this way, we want to appeal to them to do something that will reduce the pain. People have now resorted to trekking. And
I understand. I hear there's an organization.
There's a lot of
Union of Trekkers Associations. Okay, David, he mentioned the issue of a refinery. The issue of refinery has remained unresolved. However, you see, you're also a Nigerian. Of course, you're also feeling the pain.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the measures you think that should be on ground for, to ease the pain?
You see, some of the things that he spoke about, government is already working around those issues.
Okay.
It is true that there are quite a number of states that have not even paid the 30,000 naira minimum wage, which subsists even as at this time. The president has been engaging with governors, and other stakeholders. He has made it known that he intends to increase the minimum wage so that this pain is mitigated by that increase. And he's holding conversations around that with relevant stakeholders already. In 2011, 2012, when fuel subsidy was reduced and the price of PMS went up, there was huge uproar. It was around Christmas period, if I recall. Some people were stranded in their villages and could not return. They started putting SOS calls to family and friends and relatives to rescue them with transport fare. It was, if you remember the reactions, around that period, you will find that it was even more intense than we're seeing right now, and people were protesting all over the place. There was all kind of objection to that increase at the time. But after that increase, President Jonathan then sat with stakeholders and agreed on a framework. And that's when you started seeing the issues of buses, palliatives, and all of that my colleague here is talking about. So government is working around a framework that will mitigate some of this suffering. One of this framework is reflected in the fact that the president is already consulting with relevant stakeholders in the system with a view to increasing that minimum wage. Okay. And that's encouraging, So if you take out the responsibility of having to keep paying this subsidy, it gives government a huge relief. and frees revenue, for investment in other sectors that will have direct impact on the people and improve their lives and situations.
Well, that's good news. Right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Well, that's it on Nigeria Today. We want to thank our guests for sharing their thoughts with us. Mr. David Akoje, Director of Special Duties and State Operations, National Orientation Agency. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much for having me once again.
And also Comrade Anthony Chukwudi Asowa, General Secretary, National Union of Road Transport Workers, NURTW, National Headquarters, Abuja. Thank you very much for your time and contribution. And to our viewer, thank you very much for being a part of this. Don't forget, Nigeria Today is aired every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also watch this and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24. I am your carrier, Clinton. Bye.